Straight up to our top focus story this morning, the planned sanitization of Dera headquarters in Sirsa have begun and they are underway as we speak. The entire sanitization is being overseen by the retired District and Sessions Judge AKS Pawar, who was appointed as Court Commissioner by the Punjab and Haryana High Court on Tuesday. The premises of Dera, which is spread over 800 acres and houses educational institutions, markets, hospitals, stadium, recreational areas and houses, reportedly as many as 16 checkpoints have been set up and a total of 41 companies of the paramilitary forces have been deployed. Just to remind you, the large-scale violence broke out in Panchkula after the Dera chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim's conviction in the rape cases, leaving 35 people dead. Ram Rahim Singh was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Prashant sends us more details from Sirsa.
It's a mammoth task that the Haryana police and the paramilitary forces will have to go today, because remember, it's 2 weeks since Baba was given 20 years in jail and even 14 days have passed, but the Haryana government was in no mood to enter the Dera. You remember, the army was standing right at the gate number 1 of the Dera and the army was waiting for a permission from the local administration, and now that a permission has been given by none other than the Punjab and Haryana High Court, today is the day when that mammoth task of crackdown on the Dera is beginning. And if I can just ask Balraj to give you a sense of what's happening, this is Satnam Chowk. This is the gate number 1 of Dera. As you can see, number 1 being scribbled there. Now, all the security forces, in fact, there are at least 4,000 to 5,000 security forces, 45 columns of paramilitary forces and 5 columns of army. All of them are here. You can see in your visuals. This is security layer 1. Now, all of them are present here to ensure that nothing untoward happened, because in Panchkula, it was a complete breakdown of law and order. It was a complete rampage on public property. So they are just ensuring that nothing untoward happens. And even as we speak, at least 2,000 policemen and paramilitary forces have already gone inside. The DC is inside the Dera. I beg your pardon. And the crackdown is, the beginning of crackdown is in just a matter of time when the judicial officer, Mr. AKS Pawar, would actually be making his way inside the Dera. So clearly, it's a big day. It's a mammoth day for the Haryana police and also the paramilitary forces.
Well, the authorities are also ready to break locks and dig up alleged skeletons buried on the Dera headquarter yard, quite literally. Here's a look.
जैसे कि आप सभी जानते हैं कि डेरा सच्चा सौदा में कानूनी प्रक्रिया चल रही है, जिसके तहत आज डेरा सच्चा सौदा कैंपस में छानबीन की जाएगी। डेरा सच्चा सौदा हमेशा कानून का पालन करता रहा है। आप सभी से अपील है कि आप इस प्रक्रिया में कानून का साथ दें, वे शांति बनाए रखें।
Very interestingly, these are the members from the blacksmith community who have been called to ensure that the locks that are there on the gates, on the rooms of the Dera inside, that can be broken if at all they are locked. And आप लोगों को किस लिए बुलाया गया? या थोड़े लेके आ गए?
ये थोड़े छेड़ी इसलिए लेके आए भी कोई ताला वगैरह हो, ठीक है, या कोई सील दरवाजा है, उसको तोड़ना फोड़ना है बस। हाँ जी।
किसने बोला आने के लिए? पुलिस वालों ने बोला? एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ने?
पुलिस वाले हमारे को लेके आए हैं, 12 बंदे आए हैं हम। बाकी देखो कितने भेजेंगे अंदर, 3 भेजेंगे या 4 भेजेंगे या 2 भेजेंगे या 5 भेजेंगे।
आप इसके पहले कभी डेरे में गए हैं आप?
नहीं, कभी नहीं गए।
नहीं गए, तो आपको तो पता ही नहीं होगा कहाँ पे ताले लग रहे हैं।
हाँ, तो वही लेके जाएंगे ना, हमारे को तो जो अंदर रिसर्च कर रहे हैं वो लेके जाएंगे, उनको उनके साथ ही जाना है हमने।
It's an interesting arrangement, let me tell you. All the people from the blacksmith community, everything has been done. Now look at this JCB. It has been called to, ensure that the digging can take place on those barren lands, because remember, there are always been allegations of some skeletons being, buried inside the land, the barren land, the field across which the Dera is spread. So clearly, all arrangements have been primarily made.
Well, let's also listen into the official spokesperson of the Haryana government, Satish Mehra.
जुडिशियल ऑफिसर के आने की बात हुई थी कि डेरे की सर्च की जाएगी। सर, क्या स्टेटस है, वो कब तक आएंगे और क्या प्लान है सर?
हाँ, देखिए, माननीय पंजाब एंड हरियाणा हाई कोर्ट द्वारा जो डेरा सर्च ऑपरेशन के लिए कोर्ट कमिश्नर अपॉइंट किए गए हैं, श्री रिटायर्ड जज हैं श्री AKS पवार साहब, वो शाम तक यहाँ सिरसा पहुँचने की उन्हें उम्मीद है। सिक्योरिटी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन द्वारा पूरे प्रबंध है ना जो है पूरी तरह से चाक चौबंद किए गए हैं। और जो पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस आर्मी की अगर बात करें तो हमारे यहाँ ज़िला में 41 पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस की कंपनियां हैं, उसके अलावा 4 कॉलम मिलिट्री है, आर्मी है, इंडियन आर्मी है, और उसके साथ साथ जो सिक्योरिटी को लेकर जो डॉग स्क्वाड है, बम निरोधक दस्ता है, स्वैट टीम है, वो भी बुलाई गई हैं।
Some breaking news there coming in. Over to a Mirror Now impact now. Chandigarh administration withdrew the order on drink within limit order. In fact, senior officers say that the order was a mistake and was not approved. It is a massive impact on Mirror Now's story. The hoteliers have termed it impractical, and we at Mirror Now had highlighted the issue earlier. In fact, to check the rising number of drunk driving cases, the UT Excise and Taxation Department of Chandigarh had directed all bar owners in the city to install breath analyzers within 7 days. And this had the order of the Excise Department, which initiated the move to make people aware of the ill effects of the consumption of alcohol in the excess of the legally prescribed limit. The bar owners were also directed to submit the compliance report to the department by September 13th. In fact, Vishal is joining me on the phone line with more details. Vishal, it is certainly a big Mirror Now impact. The order, which had asked the hoteliers to check the drunken driving cases, has finally been removed. Is there rejoice there for the bar owners now?
Yes, indeed. After Mirror Now had really picked up this issue, the Chandigarh administration to effect. Now, what we can tell you is that hoteliers were calling this order as absurd. They were saying that when there is no legally prescribed limit in law to know how much liquor a person can consume, then what is the use of the breath analyzer equipment? Which the UT administration has said that there was a lower clerk. He had not taken the officers into consideration, and that was issued. So they have withdrawn this letter. Also said that if voluntarily they want to really do this, then they have no problem. But the voluntary part do not have any legal sanctity, because legally there is no prescribed limit. We've been saying from yesterday, that there is no prescribed limit to ascertain what is the quantity of intake of liquor a person can take. So this has been withdrawn after a lot of pressure by the Mirror Now and also the hoteliers here at Chandigarh. The Excise Department has withdrawn this letter and said that they also understand that this cannot be really implemented on ground, and that is why the hospitality industry, the hoteliers, were calling this order of UT administration as absurd.
Vishal, as you're pointing out that it was a mistake done by some junior officer there without the approval of the seniors, are we expecting any kind of action there on this particular officer?
See, had they taken any action, that would have really clarified the position. But now UT administration is trying to save itself from the whole mockery that has been made out of the UT administration in the public and also in the media. So that is why what they've done is they have withdrawn the letter, and as of now, no action has been taken against any of the official or lower officials. But indeed, they've pinned their blame on the lower officials and tried to save their skin. But indeed, it was a big mistake of the UT administration without any study conducted or without any legal opinion being taken by the UT administration Excise Department as to what is the permissible limit of a liquor consumption in a hotel or a pub, to which now it has been withdrawn, and UT administration claims that it was a mistake on the lower clerk who has not taken the officer into consideration. But it is indeed a big Mirror Now impact. And Mirror Now had taken up this issue yesterday relentlessly. They had been showing that it was basically a illegal order which could be challenged in court, and it was also not viable. So we've been taking up this issue, and now UT administration has been forced to withdraw the letter which it had issued, which the hoteliers had called it absurd.
Right, we leave it there, Vishal. Thank you so much for getting us all those details. And it, in fact, is a very big Mirror Now impact. No breath analyzers will be installed in bars, as opposed to the order that had come asking the bar owners to check for the permissible limit of people drinking there. Thank you so much, Vishal. Moving on in the bulletin now, Mumbai civic body BMC Commissioner Ajoy Mehta to appear before the Bombay High Court today. The Bombay High Court earlier issued a summon over civic body's callous attitude over the collapse of several dilapidated buildings in the city. Just to give you a brief background, 3 buildings have collapsed in Mumbai in the last 1 month, leading to an average death toll of 21. In fact, Richa is joining me on the phone line with more details on this. Richa, the Bombay High Court has certainly come heavily on the BMC. What time are we expecting the hearing to take place?
That's right. Today, the Bombay High Court and Justice Karnik's bench have summoned the BMC Commissioner Ajoy Mehta to be present in person to address and reply on the issue of the dilapidated buildings across the city of Mumbai. And in the last hearing that took place, the bench, the Justice Karnik bench, categorically stated that it has been a very casual and callous manner in which the BMC has handled this issue so far, and they have already seen a very massive building collapse that happened at Bhindi Bazaar very recently, where there were a number of casualties, and they pointed out that if the BMC does not react promptly and with more proactiveness, then we will be seeing many more such casualties and collapse in the future as well. And today the hearing is supposed to happen between 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. That's when we will see what kind of a response will Ajoy Mehta give in front of the justice's bench.
But Richa, more importantly, what has been the BMC's stand all throughout as far as their attitude towards dilapidated buildings are concerned? This is something that the High Court and in fact the citizens had continuously maintained, that the attitude of the BMC towards identifying and taking action against dilapidated buildings is quite low. So what has been the BMC's position at this point?
That's right. We have seen in the past 1 week or so the BMC taking action about evacuating a number of buildings which they thought might be on a verge of collapsing or falling down. Apart from this, there is no response as such on this particular allegation or pointing out that the court has done on their callous and casual behavior of delaying replies or not taking this issue and matter seriously. But today we might see that the BMC taking cognizance and showing what work have they done and identifying the places and spots which they think is dangerous. And it will be more interesting to know what kind of a response will the Justice Karnik's bench give in this whole situation now that the Commissioner has been asked to be present in person.
Right, we'll leave it there. Richa, thank you so much for getting us all those details. This, in fact, will be our close focus story through the day. But at this point in time, let's move on to our other top focus story. In fact, our continuous coverage that we have been relentlessly following for quite some time. The 2 days have lapsed since the brutal killing of Gauri Lankesh, but no arrests have been made. Mirror now has accessed the FIR filed in the case against 2 unidentified assailants. The special investigation team probing the murder recovered 2 shell casings from a house. This brings the total number of shell casings covered to 6. The investigating team also questioned a television cable operator who was reportedly the last person who spoke to Gauri Lankesh before her murder. Well, Shrija is joining me on the phone line with more details on ground. Shrija, very interesting developments there coming in as far as this entire case is concerned. We have accessed the FIR copy as well. And we also understand that the last person who spoke to Gauri Lankesh right before her murder was in fact a television cable operator. Any details emerging out of what kind of conversation took place and what have the police really found out?
Right, Apurva. In fact, we do understand at this point in time that around between 4 p.m. and until 8 p.m. the search was conducted at Gauri Lankesh's house. This is on Thursday. We also understand that the bomb and detection squad was called in as far as to detect any heavy metals in the premises. Also, we remember seeing them using, in fact, deep search metal detector equipment to also look for presence of metals. At the same time, they also found at least 2 empties. Now, remember, according to the Commissioner of Police, they had found at least 4 empties on the day of the murder. He also told that they found about 4 cartridges and 3 hit Gauri Lankesh and 1 missed the mark. Now, also we hear at this point in time that 2 more empties have been formed and have been also found, and that means 6 rounds were fired at Gauri Lankesh. Now, at this point in time, we are hearing from the police officers. They're looking at various angles. Remember, the first angle that they're looking at is who was the person that she spoke to last, and also speaking to some from the police officers that she had installed at least 4 CCTV cameras within her premises, after which both the CCTV cameras, 2 CCTV cameras had captured the entire incident. also based on this, as far as this investigation is concerned, they had also picked up one person for questioning. This is based on the hate and celebratory messages that he had posted on the social media. Upon questioning, they had also found out that he had lost his mobile phone. From that very mobile phone, that phone calls had gone to Gauri Lankesh's phone as well. Now, the question that needs to be asked at this point in time is why didn't he, in fact, lodge or register a missing phone complaint? Now, that angle is also being probed at this point in time. Now, during a presser, even her siblings, that is Indrajit Lankesh, had made a mention saying about Naxalites. Definitely, in fact, Gauri Lankesh was also working with Naxalites to bring them into mainstream, which she failed to do so. Could have been one of the reasons, possibilities which could have led to Gauri Lankesh's murder. However, they haven't ruled out the angle of right-wing activists, because if you remember that she was known for her bold views and inflammatory articles which could have irked as well as some of the hardcore RSS leaders. Now, that is also another angle which is right now being probed by the police officers.
Clearly, there are several angles being probed, but still 3 days on, no arrest has been made so far. Thank you so much, Shrija, for getting us all those details. But the family of the slain journalist are demanding a free and fair probe into this entire murder.
Ramling Reddy, the Home Minister himself, and local channels covered say that the Maoist, the Naxalite angle also has to be considered. So in this point of view, I spoke to some of the reporters of mine and some of the sources of mine, and they came up with these content of how Gauri was trying to bring the Naxalites into the mainstream with the help of the government. The government had appointed her, in fact, to bring them into the mainstream. She was working positively towards it. So all I'm requesting, in fact, even more than my request, they're already into it. So I just wanted to say that the Naxalite angle should not be dismissed.
Maybe we'll wait for 2 weeks, because they're doing the very good work and they're speeding up. Just this morning they've started and they're going full speed. And I know the kind of things they've been trying to do, and from high level three team kind of thing. So I'm sure we should be optimistic, I think, and we are. If it doesn't work, we'll take the next level, whatever it is, the CBI, the court, whatever it needs to be done, we'll do it. Because as it's not just Gauri's voice, every journalist's voice, every person who has an ideology should be, if they're killing that ideology, should be punished.
While the family members are demanding free and fair probe, the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has claimed that Gauri Lankesh's family has not demanded a CBI inquiry, quite contrary to what Gauri's brother Indrajit had to tell the Times Network yesterday, repeatedly stating that the case should be handed over to the CBI.
I'm with open mind. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ, ನಾನು CBI ಕೊಡೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು. ಆದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆಯವರು ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡೋದು ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ. ನೆನ್ನೆ ಇಂದ್ರಜಿತ್ ಲಂಕೇಶ್.
Moving on in the bulletin now, it is another mega Mirror Now impact. Mirror Now's consistent reporting on the Mumbai building collapse in Ghatkopar has yielded action. After 45 days of being homeless, the residents of Sai Siddhi building have finally been offered temporary accommodation. It has taken the government more than 40 days to clear the papers, but the survivors will finally be moved to a temporary accommodation in the Bhandup area of Mumbai. In fact, Disha is joining me live for more details on this. Disha, you've been relentlessly covering this, and we at Mirror Now had been focusing on the entire aspect of the temporary accommodation not being given to the residents of Sai Siddhi building. Finally, they have a shelter now. They have been waiting for almost 45 days.
That's right, Apurva. It calls for a big Mirror Now impact here, because like you rightly pointed out, we have been relentlessly covering this development where on 25th of July, this particular building came crashing down, killing more than 17 people and injuring several others. And what we understand, it's been more than 45 days they were homeless and no temporary accommodation was given to them. But now what we understand is that the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, has finally cleared the file to allot temporary homes in Manav project, which is an SRA project in Bhandup in Mumbai. So it is a relief for them, at least, because all of this while Apurva, residents were just given promises and assurances. They were running from pillar to post, from one government body to another, from BMC to SRA to even Chief Minister of Maharashtra, but no action was taken, at least on temporary homes. In fact, what we also understand is that the Chief Minister of Maharashtra has also written a letter to the SRA saying that the residents should be given temporary accommodation at least for 2 years from now, until and unless this entire building is come up, the new building, the new structure comes up here in the same locality as well. So definitely it calls for a big mirror now impact, because we have been covering this relentlessly. And finally, what we understand is that the Chief Minister has promised the survivors that in 2 days' time they will get the keys to the temporary homes as well.
Right. Disha, also tell us, for the benefit of our viewers, what is the distance that they have to now relocate, considering they have been residing in Ghatkopar. Now the new accommodation is going to be Bhandup. Is that going to be a bit of a problem for them as far as relocation is concerned, distance-wise?
So definitely, Apurva, there are going to be several problems like what the survivors have been pointing out, because first and foremost, I just want to recall, Apurva, just a bit of a background that when the incident happened, both the Chief Minister and Housing Minister Prakash Mehta had promised, saying that they will be given temporary accommodation within Ghatkopar itself, within 300-meter radius. But after 20 days, they were told that there are no homes that could be given to them in Ghatkopar itself, and after 20 days they came up with 4 other options, which is far off. So it is going to be a distance, because survivors, all of the, right from the schools, the kids' schools and workplace and other things, survivors are born and brought up here in Ghatkopar itself, is what they tell us, and most of their surroundings, and they have spent more than 15 to 20 years here itself. So it is going to be difficult but they have adjusted to the fact that there are no homes right now available in Ghatkopar, but what they need is at least a home, because right now they are homeless and they continue to run from pillar to post, staying at their relatives' place. So at least a temporary home for 2 years, that is some sort of a relief for them as well.
But Disha, also the fact that when are they expected to carry on with the relocation process? How long will it really take? Because we understand that the homes have been promised in 2 days. So when will this entire relocation process actually start?
That's right. In 2 days is what we understand today, or max to max by tomorrow is what we understand. They will be relocated from their relatives' houses to Bhandup Manav SRA project. But just for our viewers, that project is also under construction. It is not that quite maintained well, is what the survivors told us. But that particular project was way far better than the other 3 projects that they checked in Kurla itself. So they say that at least relocation will take place in another, at least today or tomorrow's time. But that is also something that they will have to look out for. Now the Chief Minister has given a clearance, so everything will fall into place is what they consider right now.
But we leave it there, Disha. Thank you so much for getting us all those details on that big mirror now impact. Finally, some relief there for all the Ghatkopar residents there off the sites of the building. Moving on in the bulletin now, getting you news from the national capital there, where a conman of a matrimonial site was arrested. In fact, the 38-year-old conman was arrested who duped girls from a matrimonial site. The Delhi police has arrested the man who had duped and extorted money from nearly 5 to 6 girls. The police also said that his modus operandi was to lure girls on the pretext of marriage and then extort money by citing personal troubles and also blackmailing them with a certain video that he would take. Now, his profile was on a leading matrimonial site, portrays that he is an eligible bachelor with impeccable educational qualifications and with some of the most prestigious institutes in the country. Let's find out what the police have to say about this.
जब उससे इंट्रोगेशन किया गया तो पता चला सिर्फ यही नहीं, इसने बहुत सारी ऐसी लड़कियों के साथ ऐसा किया है। पिछले 6 महीने में हमारे पास 5 लड़कियां ऐसी आईं जो हमने ट्रेस करी इसके प्रोफाइल के ही माध्यम से रात भर में, जिन्होंने ये कंफर्म किया और ये लेकर के अभी आ भी रही हैं हमारे पास कंप्लेनेंट बन करके। तो सबसे ऐसे मिलता है, मिलने के बाद उनको ड्यूप करता है, उनसे पैसे लेता है। इस लड़की से भी अभी 4-5 दिनों में 2.5 लाख खर्च करा चुका ये।
Well, that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Stay tuned to Mirror now for more news and updates.